I
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Sorry for the lateness. We're having a little bit of some technical difficulties. We'd like to welcome you guys once again. This is Hot Sports. Again, I'm your host, along with my co-host Misty, joining us live from Ghana. Our other co-host is not able to join us tonight due to some arrangements that was made prior to today. But if you are watching this on Facebook, on YouTube, Audio StreamYard, as well as a Typo TV, we'd like to welcome you guys. We do have a lot to talk about, obviously, to continue from last week. So we do hope to have a very good show, and possibly just for time sensitivity, we'll probably just keep it short today. Missy, welcome today to today's show as usual.
thank you for having me.
As usual, we like to jump right in. I'm pretty sure everybody has heard the news of Chris Hughton being elected as the new head coach of Ghana. Amisti, aka Chris Yapia, please give us an insight of what is really happening back home.
Oh, okay. So yes, as you are right, Chris Hilton has finally been confirmed as the head coach. We all knew he was actually going to be given the job anyway because he's the one the government wants to be the head coach because he knows a lot of people near the presidency. And well, so we are not actually surprised. It's just that some other people are still of the school of thought that all those who went to the World Cup failed. So since he was the technical director for the Black Stars at the World Cup, he shouldn't be the one coaching the team because we had quite a lot of good coaches, I should say, who submitted their CVs. So
Mm-hmm.
we had yes, so a lot. But for me, I think it's not a bad choice. His pedigree in English Premiership and the Championship is amazing. His style of play is what people don't like. He's a defensively minded coach. He plays the very tight defense, and that is what most people are talking about because we have a lot of speedsters, wingers who like to express themselves on the on the field. So, and if he's not the one, if he brings his tactics or what he's noted for as a defensively minded coach, people might not be happy. But all we want is a win, actually. That is all we need. If that's going to bring us the AFCON, I don't think I have a problem with it. If that's going to take us to another World Cup, I don't think I have a problem with it. So, yes, Chris Hughton is the man. The details of his contracts will be released soon, and he's assisted by Didi Dramani and George Watson, which of course obviously is the same team. So it's just Otoado who's no more in the team. So yes, so we hope he does a good job. He doesn't disappoint. He's not influenced by the GFA. And that's all.
Well, we're hoping I think everybody hopes that that does not really happen. The disappointment, I think, is something that Ghanaians or African sports or football lovers do not want to happen because So looking at the assessment of the post World Cup, one of the teams, if not the only team that a lot of analysts as well as football fans, almost a lot of people were really, really disappointed in was Ghana. Obviously, a lot of people know that Ghana's performance, Ghana's a statue in Africa being called one of the biggest African giants, hoping that we're gonna do something very productive, and yet nothing came about. Now this is where I probably come in all the time, and just as usual, I'm gonna play the devil's advocate and how successful is he going to be keeping the same technical team around him? And him coming in not with a fresh batch of people, but the same folks. And I know he was there before being the overseer, just seeing everything. So he pretty much knew or was involved in folks just being appointed. But him being the head coach, and not bringing his own team to you know to help him out? How successful do you think he's going to be?
Well, okay, so the inside story of Chris Hilton is initially, when for the rumor has it that he wanted to bring his own technical team,
Hmm.
like it's done in Europe. I should even say England, because I think in Italy and other places it's quite different. You just come with your coach. You, the coach, is recruiting your assistant. The other team is for the team. So for the club. So he initially wanted to come with a whole group of backroom staff, goalkeepers, trainer, analyst, everything, the whole set.
Right.
But yeah, and that is the ideal situation. But this is not a club side
Yeah.
who, and we don't play week in, week out, or even twice a week. We just meet, play, sometimes even in 3 months, just a game or something. So GFA didn't support the idea because, one, finances. Definitely, you have to be paying these people every month when you actually don't need them. You might go 3 months without playing any national team game. So that is the issue with that. With this team, he has worked with them. So the details of the contract will show if he requested that they stay on as his assistant, or there was some arrangement that maybe he should start with them and later come up with his own assistant. So I don't know the inside story for that. So I think that's the thing.
We have a couple of days until, if not probably a month or so, until our first African, Cup of Nation qualifications. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's with Angola. Um,
Yeah.
so I ask, and again, playing the devil's advocate here, I know that he was around, in the brief time that Otuado was also was the head coach and everything. Does he have enough time, or does he have enough manpower around him to build a very successful team going forward? Because we let's look at the history of Ghana coaches, right? Ghana is not fond of giving coaches all these huge long-term contracts because like I think it was something that we've talked about before. We want that whole thing, come in there, show us what you have, within a short period of time, and then just excel, right?
Yeah.
Given that he was there within the Otuado regime, which is very short tenure, do you think he's gonna have the right kind of infrastructure in terms of players around him to build a very successful team? Like especially
Most,
within our first game for our first game,
yes, most definitely. He has seen most of the boys from last year match when we played Nigeria. He was with the team.
right?
So from March till now, he should, as a technical director, he should have at least 20 to 25 players off head who he want to work with,
Mm,
because he has seen the boys. He knows which of them was ready to play in the national team and who is ready to stay. And those who will let go. So I'm sure, I'm definitely sure here we have the players for this thing. I always say I don't think we actually have a bad team at all.
mm.
I don't think we have a bad team at all. We just need a good coach.
I don't think
So
we have a bad team either, man. But see,
yeah,
this what I'm talking about. I am thinking, I look at it this way, right? And I say, okay, we don't have a bad team, but do we have a good structure around these teams in order for us to be successful, right? I.e., we talked about this a long time ago. Most of these, countries that we look up to and say, oh, we want to be as great as Germany, we want to be as great as France, we want to be as great as all these, countries, not necessarily because they're European nations, but because we think we play football, if not at the same level, a lot stronger and harder than them. We're just not getting the exposure. We look at these teams and even we look at the World Cup, right? And these teams actually pick their coaches or they talk about their coaching issues way before the World Cup is over. It's been what, almost 2 months after we exited the World Cup. Um, Correct me if I'm wrong, but by the 3rd of December we were home. So pretty much 2 months, and we're now actually picking a head coach. How beneficial do you think that's going to be to us, though? Like, just let's be realistic. How beneficial do you really think that is going to be to us as as a nation, as a team going forward?
So, if what I'll say, if it was a new coach that was coming in, I'll be scared and I'll be worried actually. But since it's Chris Hughton, and I know, I believe, and he also knew he was the one going to be selected for the job. Just that, like I said earlier, the contract is what they were actually looking at, and that's what delayed the process. So he knew he was going to get the job. So it was the back and forth of, okay, let's take this thing out, let's add this, and that's what. So we knew who was obviously going to be the next coach, and they just wanted to make it formal by just accepting in other CVs or other requests from other coaches. So I don't think it's a problem at all. It won't
Do
be,
you
he
think he's
knows
the
what
right
it is.
fit?
Is he the right fit?
Do you think he's the right fit? I'm not saying I'm not asking if he's the right fit. Do you, in your own opinion, believe he's the right fit?
Yes, most with his CV, he has the pedigree. He's the right fit for the team. But the issue I have is most of our star players or up and coming players are very speedy wingers who want to run, who are not defensive minded. So how he's going to manage with that team is what I don't know. If they are going to play to his the way he plays, or he also change his game to suit the players we have. That's what I don't know, because Chris Hilton, for his background, is known for defensive. He doesn't care. He can play a six-back system, shut up shop, make sure no goals go in, and doesn't care if he wins 1-0 a draw. That's cool for him. So that is what he's noted for. But with the players we have, Kamal Dean, who's always on the run, Kudus is always running. We Bukari, even Iñaki Williams, he have a lot of speedsters. So I don't know how he's going to manage them. But he's the right fit. So far, I think he's the coach with the best pedigree we've ever recruited for me. Apart from Abraham Grant, who I will not say was even a successful coach, but he's the best coach we could get.
So I'm looking at, we sometimes just look at, our coaches and the history in terms of the teams that they've coached, the experience and everything. And when your boy Otuado came in, I will be the first one to admit. I told him it was gonna be a bad show for him. It's gonna be a bad show, not just for him, for the players, for the nation. I did not believe in him, not once. I didn't think he actually had the right coaching abilities to do exactly what it is that he needs to do. Because me personally, I don't see him as an assistant. I don't see him as anything. I saw him as a scout, someone who just walked around. I mean, not necessarily walked around, but saw potential. And I'm going to use that word potential because he has to come report, and they actually have to take that into consideration, right? Now, wasn't part of the decision making as to what formation is played. He wasn't a part of the decision as to what substitutions has to be made. He was just there, just administering everything. But we look at Chris Hughton, right? And then his biggest or his international duty that he's actually had was Republic of Ireland for 2 years and everything. Actually, his 2 years wasn't even up and all that stuff. But that is the only international, like I guess coaching job he's had on his resume. All of them has just been, with Tottenham. He was actually a caretaker. Obviously, not Crystal, Newcastle. Excuse me, Newcastle United, Birmingham City, Norwich. Brighton and Hove Albion, Nottingham Forest. And then, taking over as, obviously when he was with Nottingham Forest, they were, in the lower division and the Premier League. So, we look at his resume, and then I ask, with a lot less than 2 years of international experience, how well can he really take this young team with little international experience and then just build them up to like a very successful and just make him a very great team? How well can he do that?
So yes, so for Chris Hilton, he's known for picking up unknown players and making them great. He's known for taking a team that no one is able to manage because the players are not that good to make them into a good team. So I agree. His international experience is like a no-no. He has actually not coached any national team. And the Republic of Ireland was for a short period, but that is not the case. For you to even coach in the Premiership alone is such a big deal. And it wasn't like his teams were the teams he coached were that bad. He just they have like great players in his team, and that's what we need now. We need a coach who understands that the Black Stars is not the Stephen Appiah Black Stars we know. A coach who understands that the team is down, so we need a lot of work. It's like building from the scratch, and he's best for that job because he did it with all these teams you are talking about. He didn't have any star in his team then, but he did it. So for me, I think he's a great coach. We don't need the Pep Guardiola kind of coach who always won, already made players. Maybe the national team has already won, or they went like the Morocco team. They already in the went to the semi-finals or a World Cup and other things. So for me, yes, he's a coach who can do that job.
Well, I mean, so let me ask you this though. We talk about him in particular, but most of the time we know, right? Talk about presidency, we talk about being the head of an organization. It's not just you making a decision as a CEO, as a president. You have your board of trustees. You have all these other people around you. How good or how well do you think Didi Dramani and George Borton staying on will actually like help Chris Hughton? Let me put it this way. I, for one, see it as someone, folks who have actually been around the Black Stars for a while, if not in the limelight. They've been in the back end of it. They've seen a lot of things that have been going on and all that stuff, right? So they came on board with Otuado, and nothing seems to have come out of it. So in this case, at what point are there I guess their opinion is going to stand out to the point where Otuado is going to be like, Chris Hughton is going to be like, yeah, I really understand or I get what you mean because it did not work with Otuado. So, how good is, like, what good is going to come out of it? What's
Good.
good is going to come
So
out of
yes.
it?
So in
They don't,
this
I don't
case,
see much.
yes. So in this case, all I'll say is Chris Hilton now has the final say. So if it maybe we don't know, we're not there, so we don't know what they suggested to Otoado and he didn't take because he had the final say on the field. So now let's see. Maybe Chris Hilton saw a lot of potential in them. That's why he wanted them to be maintained. Maybe he just wants to take them for the next two games and later change his assistant. So for that one, we don't know. But for me, Didi Dramani is a very good coach. I don't he's a very developmental coach you can trust. He has done it with the Right to Dream, Norgeland, and he has done a lot of work with them. So he's good and he's excellent. George Boateng too did it with Aston Villa and the 23s and other things. So for me, they are good on paper, but now Chris has the final say. So it depends on what they tell him if he listens or Chris takes the final decision. So for that one, yes, it's not all about the assistant. So
Well, I'm pretty sure we're going to have maybe a couple friendlies or if not, maybe one going into the game with Angola. And I'm really hoping to see what the team have actually, build on going on from the World Cup, right? Let's go to I know I'm not sure how well you've been following the news of Otua Christian Achu's situation as at now as at 11 minutes ago. His body has still not been recovered, or he has not been found. They're still going through the rubble to see his apartment. They found his apartment and everything, but for some reason they've not found him. And I don't know the atmosphere in Ghana. I don't know your thoughts, but our prayers and our thoughts really go out to him and his family. I know that he's married with kids and everything, but maybe you can speak a little bit about on what is
Yeah.
really going on and how things are going on in Ghana.
Um, the Christian Achu case is actually very sad. It's sad, and we know what he did for the national team to the extent that I think in the 2013 AFCON he was the player of the tournament. He has paid his dues for Ghana, and I actually thought he was even going to end his career. We had even beginning of the local season, we heard he was training. He was almost going to sign for a local club,
Hey,
but
absolutely.
of course, yeah. Which all we heard was he's going to Turkey. It's sad. For me, I just want his body. Even if he's dead or alive, we should just find the body so his family will be at peace. For them not seeing him, it's sad. It's even going to make the family worry more. I'm sure all they want is if he's alive, well, fine. If he's dead, at least they need the body to be buried. So most it's a sad situation in Ghana. Initially was just the fake news going around. I'm sure that's what you all heard. They found the body, it's here. But the good news is his agents and other people are there at the scene trying to make sure things work. So let's see how it goes. Anyway, I just want the body to be found if he's dead.
Well, out of everything, comes something that is sad and also funny, and it's part of the our show. We do have a segment that we skip today. Is sad but painfully true, and I think on that segment, the contractor. I don't know if you heard, a contractor has been arrested while he was trying to run out away from the country. He was trying to flee the country. The contract. That's the thing, right? It's sad, but you look at it, and I don't know how arresting a contractor who has built a residence, or who has actually just come up with this huge apartment, you know, a 12-story apartment or a huge residence that has over 250 apartments, and I don't know how he is arrested or he is being faulted for something like a natural disaster. And
Yeah.
he was trying to leave the country after the earthquake, and apparently, he got arrested. And it's sad. That's the sad part, but it's painfully true. And I don't know how what you think about that. Missy, we don't know what
And
our viewers think about that
that
too. But I think it's
that
pretty
that
funny.
yeah, the thing is, where was he even running to? You understand? So
Yeah.
the issue why people are actually angry with that contractor is there are other buildings, but they didn't go down. Not all the buildings went down. So that means there was a problem with the construction. But you see, these things, I'm sure the Turkish government they just want someone to put the blame on. But the last time Turkey had an earthquake was 1999.
Hmm.
So I don't think it's an earthquake prone zone where the Japan I think I heard they have shocks under their building. They give a lot of space to protect against earthquakes and all these things. So you can't blame him. These things happen. These things happen.
I find it kind of sad and funny at the same time. I mean, hey, almost 170 lawyers actually have filed criminal complaint against a contractor, and I don't know what he's going to do in this case. Granted, folks have actually lost their lives and everything. I have no idea how that is going to help resonate the lives and the pain that people are actually going through. So with that being said, we still keep our heads up, and we pray that like you said, God forbid, but even if it's his body, we would definitely like to have it home to honor the good things that he's actually done for Ghana, especially the Black Stars, and other aspect of football around the nation. Well, with that being said, let's move on to the Premier League. The Ghanaians in the Premier League, and I think last week we had a very heated debate about uh, one of our Ghana's defenders, performance on how Every coach kind of believes in him. And please remind me the Southampton's defender, um,
Salisu.
Mohamed Salisu. I was blanking his name with Kamadine, but Salisu once again had he had a good performance in the first half, but he had a couple of blunders in the second half, which really resulted in the team actually losing 2-1 while they being up early in the first half and going into the second half leading to 1-0. We talked about this last week. Almost they just changed their coach again. This would be like the fourth time they've changed their coach in like 2 years now. This hoping that this coach is definitely going to come in and also trust him just as much as the two previous coaches. I mean, Steve, please let because we talked about this last week. At what point are is a coach going to come in and say, you know what, we've trusted you enough with the team, and we don't see you to be the guy that can lead the defense going into the attacking phase. How
You
long is he
see,
going to be there?
yeah,
How
you
how
see,
how much
I
longer does
don't
he have?
think we are being fair. Last week we said we are being, or you are being fair to Salisu. He's not God. He can't save the team in every situation. The team has been terrible. If you watch their match, um, Kamaldeen was doing everything possible to make sure they win. They couldn't even score. Defense wise, see, you are playing against a team that was one man down. You couldn't win the game, and you blame just one player. I don't think it's right. I don't think we are being fair to him. See, let's see Salisu. Definitely, they'll go to relegation. Let's see Salisu in another team and let's see how he plays. So for me, I don't think we should judge him now. That even in backyard for us and just a normal game, when you play and the team is not going well, it brings down your confidence. The things you do, you might even get angry. And see, you can't blame him. Yeah, the goals scored against the team, none was his fault. Salisu can't do everything for the team. And I'm sure the analysts in the team and even they all know he can't do it all. They all know. They know that it's not his fault. The team has been terrible.
See, we talked about this, and maybe to your own definition or to the definition of folks out there, I might not being fair to him or whatnot, right? I'm not judging him per se. I'm assessing his play, his performance in particular, right? We watched the World Cup and we saw him make a couple of mistakes. One critical mistake that really, let South Korea get one goal in the back of the net. He made the same mistake not yesterday, but the previous week. And none of the goals, obviously two goals, none of it was his fault. And I do understand, playing with a team that has been losing like several, week in and week out, back and forth. I mean, at some point, your confidence is definitely going to drop. You're going to feel like everything that you're putting in is going to waste, and at some point, you're not going to feel like putting out your best. But I believe, and the reason why, I'm usually hard on our team, our players out there. I think this is the time to sell yourself as a player. This is the time to actually just put yourself out there and let people know this is how good you are, even if your team is bad. And I think we brought this up last week, 2 seasons ago, when Manchester United had a very horrible game. There was a player, they had a horrible season. There was a player by the name of Harry Maguire, if anybody knows him, who was playing horrible. De Gea was the guy. De Gea did not let, all the goals slip. He saved the team as much as he can. And at some point, at the end of by the beginning of the following season, his contract was due and everything. It became a topic and everything. He wasn't, sold out. He wasn't loaned out and everything. So I talk about this not to hate or not to really be hard on these players, but to just say this is their time. This is that the team is performing is being very bad. And we look at Kalmadine Suleiman's situation yesterday. He made history becoming the first player in the Premier League to have 8 successful dribbles, right, out of 13. No player in the Premier League has ever done that. Well, he did it. Now, when teams are looking at how bad these, because when teams go to relegation, they look at the team, individual players, and then other teams actually kind of pick some players out. So if your team is doing that bad and you're also performing at a very low level, at what point are you going to, go to a bigger team, or at what point is is a coach, a national coach, gonna look at you and say, "Oh yeah, I could still put my trust in this person"? At what point is that gonna happen?
Well, so as I said earlier, he's when he comes to the national team, he does the you use just one game against him against South Korea to say here. When he comes to the national team and he has the players, he delivers. So with it doesn't mean he's a bad player. It means Southampton is not playing well. And trust me, in this current season, there are very few left-footed centre backs around. So
Hmm.
every team would like to play him. Every team would like him to be part of the team and possibly start every game. He just needs to do a lot of, and he's actually, I've seen a lot of improvement anyway. So he's of value to the team, and I know he will not stay with the team when they go to relegation, and he definitely move to another team, a better team.
Do you think he's gonna stay? He's still gonna stay in England, or do
He
you
should
believe he should still stay in England,
he should stay in England. He should
assuming assuming they do get relegated?
yes, he should stay in England. EPL arguably is the best league or most televised league in the world, so he should stay to market himself well. With Wolverhampton or Everton, I don't think it will be a bad thing for him. But he should stay in England. Because yeah, he should stay.
Well, well. With that being said, let's continue. Let's stay on topic and just go move on to another player. Something that we brought up last week but could not finish. Kudus, also had an amazing performance with Ajax. Having a goal in the 3-1 comeback. Now we talked about this last week, and we're certainly going to touch on it a little bit before we log off. Do you think it's time for him to move on? I mean, I think he actually marketed himself. He's put himself out there on the pedestal. Everybody knows what Kudus can do, right? We look at Enzo coming over to Chelsea. Like, I would probably say about 40% of the world football did not know how great he was, or how good he was, or how good he could be until the World Cup, right? They win the World Cup, and all of a sudden, these Argentines are just signing ridiculous, prices. I mean, contracts with all these teams. Kudus is one of the player. Matter of fact, if I arguably the only player that stood out in the World Cup on Ghana team.
Sure.
Now, with that being said, and continuing to shine and everything, don't you think it's time for him to also get one of these huge contracts and play on the world biggest stage? I mean, club stages like a Premier League or something. Do you think it's
Yeah,
time to move on?
he, as you said, I think he needs a good agent. Kudus is on because he scored just I think 2 days ago or 3 days ago in their
He did.
cup game. He scored today too. So and now, but the other part is he now says he's enjoying his best time in Ajax because the coach allows him to be free and he's playing his favorite position. You understand? So now the funny thing is, will he want to wait another season to explode more to go into the EPL, or does he have to move now? For me, I think he should move in the summer transfer window straight. If he continues at this pace, he should be snapped up by one of the top four teams. Trust me, for me, Kudus is way better than Anthony.
I think that's a fair debate, and I think if not everybody, majority of the people would certainly agree with that. But this is the thing, hoping to telling that everybody that you're enjoying your time at Ajax right now, just because they all see how great you are and everything. Just 2 seasons ago, he actually sat out at practice, said he wasn't going to practice anymore. He wanted to be traded. He wanted to go to another team. I mean, I think Everton was chasing him at the time. And, just, everybody noticing how good you are, and now getting the freedom to do whatever you want in terms of controlling the pace, controlling the game, distributing passes and scoring goals at will. Right now I think he has about 8 or 9 goals. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, in this season, with I think 20 appearances. So having all these freedom and everything, if you continue to let that sink in, you honestly, you might just end up just signing like another long-term contract. Like you said, he does. Most of these Ghana players don't have good agents. And they pen you in for a long-term contract where you cannot leave. You end up in a Harry Kane situation where you try to force yourself out and then no one can. Me personally, I kind of wish he would have left in a January transfer window. I think he has a lot to offer. I don't
Yeah.
think he really needs to, start a whole season from preseason, play all these preseason games in America, Asia, and everything in order to fit in a team. I think his football IQ is very high, and I think he really understands the game. He knows exactly what to do, when to do, and how to do it. And I think arguably, in my personal opinion, I think this is the right time for him to make that move because his price tag is all the way up there. His price, and
Yes.
I don't know at what point you're gonna stay there, but go ahead.
You see, so when if he had moved earlier too, I don't think he would have gone to a very good team because those times in the January transfer, I remember, I think when he started out of practice, it was the Evertons and other teams chasing him then. So now,
Well, that was
you
2 years ago when Everton was good, when Everton
no,
was
no,
playing
but
better.
trust me.
You know.
So now that, and at that time, his confidence was down because he plays in the Champions League or he plays in the league, scores a goal, and the next game he sits out. So he realized that the coach wasn't just didn't like him. So for me, if now that his confidence is up there, he should just end the season on the high note, play extremely well, score a lot of goals, and he'll go out. He'll go to a better team. And trust me, Ajax wouldn't let him sign a long-term contract. Ajax is a team that is in for the money. They are not
Mm.
there to keep players because even after their Champions League, where I think they went to the semi-finals or finals, they traded almost all their stars. They are in for the money. They could have made them sign long-term contract, but they were just in for the money. So Ajax is definitely going to trade him in the summer transfer. He wouldn't stay for long.
All right. Well, we hope that that's because we know teams like Ajax, Dortmund, Leipzig. Those teams are just business-minded people, and they like to, like we said, they buy low and they sell high.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll be able to come to a consensus and to try to get him into a much better. And I'm hoping he doesn't end up in one of those. I'm sorry, but at the rate he's playing, I think he deserves to play in a much higher league, La Liga or Premier League or something like that. Hopefully, he doesn't end up in Turkey or Fenerbahce or none like that. Well, before we go, let's. I know Kofi Tre has been ruled out, for the rest of the season with a ligament injury going, under the knife surgery and everything. He's actually made a total of 18 appearances, which is very, very good. Most of them playing more than an average of 50 minutes a game. So that's really, really good. And he suffered an injury on Thursday night at training. Team members wore his jerseys to show love and support. He's a young and upcoming player, just 25 years old. Let me see how hard is that going to be on the Ghana national team, losing Kofi Tre for like the whole season?
Wow. Okay. So for the national team, he's actually had some one or two good games, but he's not a starter in the national team.
Hmm.
So for me, I just feel sad for a young player coming up with the new team suffering an ACL, which might probably keep him out for to the end of the season and even their preseason, which he
Hmm.
would have been like played his best to be a starter in his team. So it's sad for him. And usually very few players come out from ACL stronger or better, you realize that it affects a lot of them after the surgery. So we just hope that he comes back stronger because he's a very good player. He's one player who just does the job and is very technical.
Mhm.
Yes, it's just that in our midfield, our midfield is quite choked, so he hardly starts. So for the national team, I think we can do without him. But I just want him to be fit, play regularly, and might go to the AFCON next year.
Well, we may be able to do without him, and like you said, he's not really, a complete starter. But given that he's our set piece, besides penalty kicks, he's our set piece taker, corner kicks, free kicks, and all these things that come into play. I'm looking at his age. I'm looking at his talent. I'm looking at the holes that he needs to fill in as a player. As a team, what we need and the things that he's definitely capable of. And uh, like you said, there are certain injuries that certainly limit you to being at your best or just performing at the top level. After you go out, and I think this is one of them. And do you think, well, this is not permanent, but do you think for temporarily we can certainly replace him with a local player? I know you don't want to hear that player, you don't want to hear that term local player or local, but do you think temporarily, we can replace him with a local player who comes on for about maybe 20, 30, 40 minutes a game?
I always say this, and call up for the Black Stars is not a place you learn how to play football. So for me, we just need a competent replacement. There are a lot of them out there. In fact, our midfield has never been a problem. We have a lot of replacements for him. We just heard that one Francis Amuzu has switched nationality to play for Ghana. I think born and raised in Belgium, Anderlecht player and other things. So for me, I don't. If the local player is that good, see, our local Black Stars went to the Chan and were terrible. We couldn't even watch 90 minutes game. So and that is the best of the best we have. We couldn't even. They struggled in that tournament. So if you pick the best local midfielder, compare him to one other player who will be called maybe a Salis or somebody, or now Baba Rahman is even back. Sorry, Baba Idrisu is back
Yeah.
playing, and you think the local player is better than Baba Idrisu, I don't have a problem. But if Baba Idrisu is way better than the local player, you drop the local player, he should learn how to play football, and he'll be called into a national team.
So in your opinion, all players playing in the local league are not football players, or they're not good enough to get a call up.
If they are good enough, you see, the call up for to the Black Stars or any national team is for every Ghanaian
Hmm.
anywhere in the world. I can be called into a national team. The national team is no one's property. But should
True.
I meet the criteria? Should I going into the team? I should be better or at par with those there. So if you come in or you train the team and you are not that good, it's not a place to learn how to play football. You understand? So you should be benched. If you are good enough, you'll be called. It got to a time where in early 2000s, House of Folk players were the Black Star players. And I remember there was this thing where they said after the game we played with Nigeria, and was it Taribo West or Nwaku Kanu asked Charles Taylor that is which club side do you play for in Europe? And he said, no, I'm a local player. And he was like, wow, you're that good. So that is it. So if they are good enough, they should just fit. It's not like making a case for because the national team is there, we should just pick local players who don't meet the standard to just get into the team. I'll not support it. We need every good or quality player anywhere in the world. So if locally you are better than those can, you should be in the team.
Well, you know what? We're certainly going to talk about a lot more come next week, because we do have to discuss. We're certainly gonna start, digging into our local league. I know Dreams FC is definitely just ringing some bells back home, beating Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Um, we have a lot of players abroad who are trying to make name for themselves. We're definitely gonna hear have the first press conference of the newly appointed Ghana coach Chris Hughton, and also find out exactly how he's gonna piece things up. So we hope to actually get a lot in the next coming weeks. However, there was an article, and let me see. I'm certainly I'm streaming from my phone, so it's kind of hard to actually project it. There's an article on FIFA saying if a country in Africa needs to have a state of the art stadium, it should be Ghana. And I wanted to get your take on it. With FIFA. Um, Coming up with that, or FIFA just recognizing Ghana as one of the nations that really needs to have one of these, fancy or, stadiums that really stand out. I just wanted to get your take on that. Before you get
Uh,
that, shout out to Pedroa Medina Cruz, watching this live and clear inside Indianapolis, Kumasi, Tanos at Kesvin Junction. Thank you for tuning in and commenting. I missed to go ahead with that.
well, for me, yeah, Ghana's football history is huge. Ghana has always been the face of Africa in the World Cup since its inception. Now, Morocco has done better than us, but Ghana is noted for football. And the sad part is we don't have a world class stadium or international stadium or a stadium that meets international standard. That is sad because even with the qualifiers against Nigeria, we had a temporal approval from CAF, not even FIFA, CAF, to play a match in Kumasi. And yeah, we even heard there was a lot of talks at the level of the presidency to just allow us to play in there. So yes, but the sad part is we can bring all the stadiums in Qatar to Ghana. Are we going to maintain them? No. I'm telling you, we went for the Wizkid show in this Accra Sports Stadium,
Was it a
and
wine didn't show up?
yes, the one he did shop, and it was sad. The state of our stadium was like in shambles, terrible, and I just don't understand. If the stadium was not in Accra or was located somewhere in the outskirts, you see, okay, government doesn't have an eye there, but it's a place where we have even the Ghana National Sports Authority office in the stadium, and the stadium is in shambles. Washroom zero. Most things are broken down. Doors, the nets for the design. Of course, the field. I don't want to talk about it, but it's actually a tomato pitch. Nothing. It's a very hard pitch because we were on the field, so I was like, wow, this is even worse than where we play on the natural grass and the Kisima area. So it's terrible. It's terrible.
And it's something that I always see, online or either watching or following the news and all this entertainment, and they have all these shows for musicians and everything, and the national stadium, man. It's
Yeah.
not carpeted. No carpets. We don't have any flat, bottom, stage. They just make a hole in there and they just put, and I'm always looking at it like, do we have like a caretaker? Do we have folks who actually look at it and say, hey, we actually, what these are the rules and the regulations that you guys need to follow in order to use? Do we have that, or people are just going on just doing what it is they have to do to
Yes.
make sure that.
So the stadium is actually under the care of the National Sports Authority, and they've been terrible. They have a very bad executive director or boss. He's a professor actually. So I
Mm,
wonder what he learned or how he passed his doctorate and to become a professor.
Mm.
He tells us we have something to cover the stage by its own. That is why they don't use it. But it's usable. We don't use it.
Mm.
We have we have we have everything. We have someone who has worked with Fulham Green Grass Technology, supposed to plant or make sure the grass is green, but he's actually been the nation owns him for about 2 or 3 years. Francis Boamosa, you can Google it. Frank Boahine, yes, you can Google his
Mhm.
name, and he always complains. So do you think he would do a good work to the stadium? No, you understand? So initially, one man I heard who was part of the organizers of the CAN 2008 when the stadium was renovated and others were built were like, so initially the plan was to build a stadium and after hand it over to private firms to take care of. You can use it for shows, make the money, but all we want is a new stadium. There will be a setup of restaurants, nightclubs, and other open places there. But after the tournament, the government took over.
Mm.
That is where the issue is. See, there's I don't know if the board chairman of Kotoko, Kwame Chi, the owner of Unity Oil, and he's a very rich man in Ghana. He's a millionaire. He has bought a new team, Nations FC. He was Bekwa Youth Academy and now changed the name to Nations FC and has built a stadium. And when you see a privately owned stadium at that level, you'll
Mm.
be shocked that even the national team, you can go online and see. You'll be surprised that the whole country as Ghana don't have a stadium at that standard. Even though his stadium is not that big, I think it's about five or not up to 20,000 capacity. But the things in the stadium is on point. So you wonder why is it that if it's the nation, we don't have a good stadium or we don't care. We want the stadium to go down. But if it's a private person, the private person does it well. So that's where the issue is. So they'll tell you, okay, now we need to generate revenue for the stadium. So we allow shows and other things to go on. But you take money and after you still write back to the government that we should give you money to renovate the stadium. And you just don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, well, see, if we had to definitely just start this, it's certainly going to be something that we're not going to end talking about it. However, we're way past our time here. But come next week, like I said, we do have a lot to discuss next week, going on from the stadium situation, as well as a free Alquat said he wants a return back to Black Stars after making a debut in the Iraq, Premier League. So, it's something that we're definitely going to talk about. But, our time is up. We're going to make way for the next show. We'd definitely like to thank everyone who tuned in on Facebook, on YouTube, on Typo TV, as well as audio StreamYard platforms. We thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for all those who shared their thoughts and everyone who commented and also liked our show. Please subscribe and tune in every Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern and 9 p.m. GMT. Misty, as usual, would like to say thank you for tuning in, and we certainly will see you next week. Until then, please have a good night. We're signing
Thank
off.
you. Thank you. Thank you.